What up, everybody? Welcome back to EMPM. That stands for Engineering Major, Philosophy Minor. This is the channel where you can get, of course, a working aerospace engineer's opinions on topics pertaining to engineering, philosophy, politics, and various other social and cultural issues. So I was not actually planning on streaming tonight, but I did get off work a little bit early, and I went and played a little game of golf. And that is something that I'm not going to talk about because I did not do very well at all. But the reason why I had to jump on the stream is because on Tim Pool's show, he is hosting Alex Jones and then also a guy named Phil. I can't remember what Phil's last name is, but I think he's the singer or one of the guitarists from a band called All That Remains. And All That Remains is like one of my favorite metal bands of all time. Was super huge in them in high school, but the reason why I want to start filming is because this Alex Jones stuff is just like absolutely hilarious. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the audio down on this. And I don't know how kosher this is with like Tim Pool's stuff, but we're going to listen to a little bit of this Alex Jones stuff because it's just crazy. Now, before we do that, let me just talk a little bit about what I'm going to be working on in the city here. So I'm going to be refining this monorail line right here. What I think I'm going to do is I want to get it closer to the coastline over here, level this out, slope it down, and basically make it so that it's like close enough so that the trolley can kind of like arch up over this beach and then hit the ground here, and then we're going to bridge it off there. And I don't know how far we're going to get because I can't stream for super long, but let me say this before we start listening to Alex Jones. So I personally think that Alex Jones is incredibly ridiculous. There are things that he says, and Tim kind of like debates him with this in the show, but there are things that Alex Jones says that like part of it might be like factually true, but then he just like goes absolutely off the rails on like some just crazy like bizarre connection type stuff. And here's what I want to say. Like when you guys hear something on my channel, on Tim's channel, on the mainstream media, you know, even from, you know, your own doctor, you know, from people who are talking to you, I'm not saying don't trust anyone and assume that everyone else is wrong, but like, please like use your own common sense to judge, you know, okay, maybe I need to look into this a little bit more. I'm not so sure I believe that part. Like, just really think about the things that you hear and, you know, come up with your own opinion and your own thoughts about it, you know, because what happens with Alex Jones is, you know, people assume that other people are just going to like take Alex Jones at his word and then start like acting in crazy and bizarre ways, like simply by hearing an idea. And for the most part, that doesn't happen. I mean, that does happen to like a very small group of people, but typically those people, they don't end up like committing heinous crimes or like just doing like bizarre stuff, or if they do, they're just gonna like keep it to themselves, right? So all I'm saying is this is, you know, I don't believe everything Alex Jones says. Obviously I'm an engineer, so I'm gonna be thinking about this stuff critically like for myself, but I just want to remind you guys, anything you hear, even if it's from me, whoever it's from, you know, think critically about it and then like make up your own like common sense rational decision about it. And you know, at the end of the day, like you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. You know, when it actually comes down to like breaking the law, and you know, the law makes sense, right? Like don't obviously like go out and murder people. You know, that's when the punishment needs to occur. Unfortunately, what we have going on right now in the US is, you know, the media and the government don't want you to consult your own reason. And don't want you believing things that are against what they believe. And I give you guys a lot more credit than that. I think you guys are intelligent enough to determine kind of fact from fiction. and make your own tempered decision. So let's listen to this right here. This gets crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know about the extended state DMT experiments they're doing?
That's the IV drip.
Yep.
And I told Joe on that show 4 years ago, about 6 months before it came out, and they broke the news because I pushed them to do it. That
It's not a corporate party though. It's a university.
It's a university. Well, I mean, I knew because my mom knew people that were doing it in the 70s and 80s with the CIA in San Francisco at this big university group.
You know. I guess.
I said that on Joe's show before it
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
And I was a kid. My parents were involved in that. They had friends that were research scientists, and they were talking about. One time I was asleep in the back of the Volkswagen when my mom with her friend was driving up to Arkansas to travel around and see some cool places. And I'm sitting there in the back of the car listening to this, talking about how they're having groups of people take this, having the same experience going into these dimensions, talking to these aliens. They believe they're aliens, but that they're sneaky, they lie, they're basically demons. They're like clockwork elves. So I'm sitting in the back of the car hearing my mom drive along with somebody who's, they're talking in front of them. I'm 6, 7, 8, 9 years old repeatedly. And so these are research scientists in San Francisco in a university study, at the Psychedelic Research Institute or whatever it's called. I'm going back from memory. And then it's actually people on different hallucinogenic drips, long-term going in, like mapping everything and then coming out of it, writing it all down what they saw, then going back trying to communicate. And the things always say, we want you to kill children.
Okay.
Like that's where you lose me, right?
Okay, right there. Oh my gosh. See, so there were a lot of I guess, sorry if I was blowing out the microphone there as well. There were a lot of experiments like in the 60s and the 70s, specifically having to do with psychoactive substances and stuff like that. But where Alex Jones obviously, goes off the rails is that he seems to be just suggesting that like the sole purpose of these studies was to, basically have people end up with the idea that they need to like consume children. And if you listen to the rest of the podcast, Alex Jones goes into the obviously like these very bizarre ideas about we'll probably hear some more of it in a second. There's a specific part in here that is just absolutely hilarious that you guys need to listen to. But he basically is saying like it's like this group of elites that's trying to basically engaging in this is the wrong thing. That's engaging in like some of these like weird ritualistic practices in order to, discover the fountain of youth and like live forever. And it's some really crazy stuff, admittedly, but I do want to tell you guys a story having to do with, San Francisco and some of the crazy stuff that goes on there. So I have known people who have had, problems with addiction to various substances. And obviously, I'm not going to name any of these people, for their privacy. But they've struggled with some of this addiction type stuff. And a lot of, where they would get involved in, let me take a step back because I'm getting distracted. So one of the places that they would go basically to, either do drugs or acquire drugs and stuff like that was San Francisco, right? And I have heard stories that basically, this person who I'm talking about was telling me a story about how he's like, man, I've seen like some crazy stuff in San Francisco, some stuff that like, like I shouldn't have seen and stuff. And like he was claiming, like there are people actually who, if they like find out that I talk about this, like, I'll have major problems and stuff. And they're like engaging in like these like really crazy like orgies and like bizarre, like he mentioned, and again, you guys take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that this is fact. This is just something that I heard, and it kind of like it just kind of has to, it's loosely correlated with Alex Jones is talking about, but he was talking about like human sacrifice type stuff that people would do. And he's like, yeah, he's telling me like, oh, like I've witnessed this stuff and I can't like, that's like really all I can say and stuff. And it just like really bizarre, like off the wall type stuff. And so, Alex Jones, obviously this is a crazy bit where he's going a little bit nuts. But anyway, let's listen to a little bit more of this. There's just one part that I really want to get to.
It's like the weirdest thing.
No, I mean, that's
Like it starts
gosh.
off with this amazing, fantastic journey of like through the back in the
Well,
war.
it's
Back of
true.
you go through the back of the. Imagine this.
why do you think Joseph Mengele did it? Why do you think?
Okay, hold on. Like let me.
What do you think these people are into?
There's a story about several children. Hold
Choron
on, let
doesn't
me
want gold. He wants children's blood.
Let me tell you a story. A bunch of children are playing hide and seek in their family home as their parents are out and about working. When one of the young children goes to open the wardrobe to go and hide, but behind in the back of the wardrobe there is no wall.
Narnia.
And they stumble into this amazing winter wonderland where a giant lion rises up and says, "Bring me the blood of children." See, that's where you lose me.
Well, no, they want the blood of the lion in that story. But
I know. It's like you start off with this fantastic journey. It's like,
Okay, so we got to skip ahead a little bit because Tim. So this is where Tim is like pushing back a little bit, and rightfully so. I mean, there is just some wild stuff coming out of Alex Jones' mouth right now. But I want to find where Alex Jones is.
like it's like they want.
yeah, most cultures finally decline. That priest
Phil's
class.
just laughing.
The priest class finally killed themselves. Look up the Aztecs drawing
Here we go.
ropes with glass through their genitals.
I'm not gonna look that up.
And that's volcanic glass, in case anyone's wondering.
I recommend you don't look it up.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling
Right
that
now.
No, it's not. You'll be
live.
You'll be at the Madrid
here we go.
Museum of Natural History, where they have a whole area of it, and they have carvings that are 500 years old brought back from there of jumbo jets with the windows on it and the two engines.
I've got this feeling that the
Oh my
energy
God.
source doesn't want us to do anything. It's just there, and it's passing through this imperfect filter of the human body where we need to eat, we need to destroy to consume to survive. So it's got this taint, and a lot of really powerful people.
Yeah, then Ian just starts talking out of his rear end. I don't know. I mean, I like Ian, but sometimes he like says some really dumb stuff. But I'll just let it keep playing.
It's like their
there.
own warped perception of what they think it's.
Yes,
telling
humans
us.
could be projecting because it only hits our lower brain at what it wants us to do as eat children.
So going back to Stargate, right? There's an episode where it's Richard Dean Anderson, by the way. Great actor. He accidentally.
So Alex Jones, he has this like uncanny ability to just like throw in this, just this random, like it's just this side comment, and it's like you don't quite pick up on it at first, but it's like just like what he just said there, like, oh, and yeah, and it just makes us consume children. It's just like, what are you talking about, dude? But God, where is this part?
Gets hooked into very quickly an ancient knowledge repository, which begins downloading all of the ancient information to his brain. But his brain is primitive and can't handle it, so it starts erasing his cognitive functions, and then he slowly can't talk.
I
and
can't.
So just kind of like what.
I want to skip ahead because I don't want to like play too much of Tim Pool's things, but the scroll isn't refined enough, so I'm just gonna skip way too far ahead on accident.
You guys are saying you get this energy from this all-powerful or interdimensional higher being. Your brains can't handle that stuff.
And it makes you chop your genitals off.
Okay.
And
I don't know about all that.
no, it also doesn't just say kill kids. It says it tells men chop your genitals off. That's a transmission you get. And then they do a final ritual where they don't just draw strings with their tongue or cut their ears off. Then they start like gouge their eyeballs out and then slit their throat.
But so you're looking back at this.
The highest level ritual for the high priest is to finally kill themselves. That's why you had some Roman emperors that killed themselves and stuff, and they'd already burned down the city.
I would get into these deep meditative trances in like 2012, 13, and I was hearing.
Okay, here we
I
go,
thought it was
dude,
God, like,
Ian.
and I would hear like die, and I was like, what is this voice? It's like this human. It's like it's vibrating in our atmosphere, and it's like the collective consciousness is being filtered into words.
And they're telling.
Oh my God, dude. Then Ian starts talking, and man, gotta love Ian. Anyway, that was pretty much what the part that I wanted to get to there is like Alex Jones just like going absolutely crazy here. And the thing is that again, what seems to happen is I hate how it tears this here. Because then I got to put trees in there to cover that up. But you know what will happen is like Alex Jones will have like some random kernel of truth in there, and then it'll just go like completely off the rails to something just like totally bizarre. And you know, I totally see what, you know, Tim is saying here, which is like, it's like, dude, you gotta take it like, just take it like one step back, you know, and you'll be a lot more convincing to people. You know, not that it's like completely about just like convincing people of crazy stuff, but you know, I think that there are people, you know, dare I say Alex Jones, who actually will have like some reasonable ideas about stuff. I don't think I meant to do that. And it just gets, unfortunately, it just gets like polluted with like all this like crazy stuff. And then you don't believe like any of their ideas at all. And, you know, some people would argue like, well, you know, it's crazy conspiracy theory stuff. So, you know, you absolutely like don't want to believe any of these ideas. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, yes and no, right? I mean, you definitely want to like keep thinking critically about stuff, you know, for sure. And you know, that's like a big thing that you have to do in engineering is, you know, you have to be able to assess, you know, like what ideas are going to be productive, lead to productive outcomes, and what ideas are not. And sometimes, you know, you're going to find ideas that you just need to completely dismiss outright. Oh, is it not going to let me do this? Oh, that's a bummer. I thought this was going to be really cool. Okay, we're going to have to take this back a little bit. Oh, and that's, that is somewhat of an aggressive slope as well. But yeah, so you need to be able to consider, you know, a lot of different ideas, and you also need to consider, you know, what ideas are just going to like lead you to a dead end versus, you know, what ideas are actually going to be helpful for whatever it is that you're designing or whatever it is that you're doing. And a lot of times, you know, you're going to have to convince people of these ideas. So it always helps when, you know, when you can make some like kind of coherent arguments about some of this stuff. And unfortunately, you know, for Alex Jones is like he'll start off making like a somewhat coherent argument, and then he'll just like lose it in like just some crazy like weird stuff. And that's unfortunate, you know, because it's not like every single one of his ideas is completely awful. So yeah, I just wanted to listen to a little bit of that Tim Pool stuff for now. And again, I wasn't planning on streaming, so this is like going to be a pretty rough cut. And I'm getting back into it. So, you know, starting now, oh, those are industry roads. Starting now, I think that I'm pretty much just going to talk about the gameplay for the rest of this stream. So what I'm trying to do here, and see, what I like about this is for some reason along this style of road, it makes the sidewalk perfect, but even on a straight section of this style of road, it starts to tear. I wonder if I was to upgrade this road to just like be a normal one. Does that get rid of the tearing? No, it doesn't. What is this? Trolley bus wires? No, that doesn't work either. How come it worked in that other one over there? I'm just kind of futzing around with this right now. Oh, see, that doesn't work. What made it work right here? Was it because I built the trolley line after? Huh. That's so strange. Yeah, 'cause see, I hate how like there's these big swaths here where it just doesn't look good, you know? I want it to look clean where the track is where the track is just right up to it. Oh, let's get some sound back in here as well. Options. Set this to 30. Boom. I just like hearing like a little bit of sound effects at least. See, that does it. It's like the track is... see, that snaps to the grid also. Anyway, yeah, it's probably not super, super exciting, just listening to me kind of drone with this. How about this? Let's try and get it really close. Oh, see, that doesn't even work either. Anyway, alright, so we're going to complete this here. With this, so now I had to level this out a little bit more. So now this slope isn't as... Whoa. I clicked the wrong way again. You gotta come from... Whoops. If you don't drag the right direction, this thing will really... Oh no, I'm really ruining this. Now the water's gonna go crazy. Okay. Let's try that again. Gotta make sure that you're going the right direction with that. Hopefully I didn't just like flood a bunch of stuff out. No, that's fine. All that's fine as well. Okay, so let's see here. I want the road to come out to there, and then I want it to make kind of like a 90-degree turn like this. And then we're going to join up with this up here. And I kind of want this area to be just like a nice, like kind of free-flowing, like coastline type area. And the important thing is that the tram tracks meet up in a flat area over here. So we're going to need to flatten this here like that. And also recognize that this ruined my slope again right here. So yeah, guys, what just to return to like an idea that the idea at the beginning of the video, you know, again, so, you know, we're playing some Alex Jones on here, and this is, you know, a typical point where, you know, YouTube will happily want to like censor what's going on. Okay, that looks really good. That's exactly what I wanted. And now I want to get rid of that. You know, what's frustrating about it is, you know, I personally believe that you guys are intelligent enough to listen to some of those ideas and, you know, listen to the fact that we're laughing about it and, you know, having a good time talking about it. And it's just not, you know, just because you have a certain idea about something doesn't mean like you're just going to go off and, you know, start acting just completely awry because of it and just start acting in bizarre ways, you know. And most people can listen to Alex Jones and be like, okay, you know, he's like, he's off the rails here. But, you know, maybe I think that maybe I like this idea or don't like that idea. Will this just not go over? Let's try this. Oh, that's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. What do I need? Let's see if we can do this in a different order. But, you know, that's why I say when you're listening to this stuff, you know, think for yourself, you know. I mean, I'm sure that there's... That's ugly as hell. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there, too, who might be, you know, listening to my thoughts on engineering and be thinking to yourself, oh, you know, that's not the way it is, and blah, blah, blah. And, hey, you know what? That is totally, totally chill. You know, like, because the idea behind this stuff, oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. The idea behind this stuff is just to get people thinking. You know, it's not to convince people of one thing. I mean, there are a lot of videos that I make where, you know, I have a pretty strong opinion, and I definitely feel like my opinion's right. But this is kind of the exact kind of thing that Jordan Peterson talks about, where, you know, speech, in and of itself is the way that we are able to, you know, think with each other actively. And I guess if you kind of philosophize on that perspective for a little bit, you'll realize, you know, it's really true. I mean, speech is kind of the ultimate form of thinking. It's kind of like how teaching, you know, if you teach something, it solidifies your own understanding of that particular topic. It's the same thing with speech. It's like if you want to talk about something intelligently, then you need to have a good idea of what you're talking about. Now, I suppose you don't absolutely have to necessarily. I mean, there are certainly people who, you know, will speak without thinking, and sometimes, you know, a lot of what Alex Jones says, you might question whether or not, like, he's really thinking before he says it. But that's the whole reason why. That's the whole reason why we talk about it, you know, so that we can debate ideas with each other. Oh crap. Just make this straight for now. I want this to be tall enough so that boats can pass under it, and I realized I made it too short a moment ago. And unfortunately... Okay. Let's do this. Just get a straight section there. Demolish this. This may need to be kind of a little curve versus a long one. Okay. You know, some of you might think like, well, you know, Alex Jones isn't really doing like a good job of what you're talking about, but it's like, well, that's why you need to think about it, you know, and not just like kind of blindly trust what a random person might say, you know. What does that look like? I don't know about that. Might have to do this with a shorter curve. Let's find... an adequate height here. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. That's probably tall enough. But now it's just not in line with this, so to come here. But you know, the idea being, you know, again, you know, speech is the way in which we really are able to think actively with one another, and that's why it's such a danger to censor it. That looks good. And now we start sloping down. One. I want this to be really gradual. As gradual as it can be. And it might mean that it needs to be raised at the point of the island. But that's okay. Maybe the curve can actually start here. Whoop. There we go. How does that look? Oh yeah, that's actually looking really good. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too tall here. Just gonna have to make sure that it comes down gradually over the island. Just one. So we're going to go one of the smallest increment down every, I think that's like a 10 tile increment. And then on this side it'll be a little bit lower to the water. Is that it? Are they in line? Yeah. Yeah, see, that's nice and gradual. I mean, well, I guess it's not like perfectly smooth right here. Maybe I should have gone down 2 between there. Actually, let's try that out. Let's get a little selector on here. Boom. 1, 2. Yeah, there we go. That's the way. That's the way that it needs to go. And I keep accidentally selecting the thing. You know, the thing. Oh, now it's too low though. So I guess this is just gonna have to go straight. No slope. I don't want any slope at all. Okay, got 10 minutes here. But yeah, so I just want to, make sure that you guys, you guys understand, like, that, at some point in time, it's like you've really got to think for yourself, and you can't just like, you can listen to the other information, but use your common sense, and pick and choose, what you really want to believe, and as long as you can do that, and it's not just pick and choose willy-nilly, just like do your research and think about stuff a little bit. And you'll be able to decipher like what ideas are really bad ideas and what ideas aren't. And that's why, I just think it's kind of silly, like when the government comes in and tries to censor, because, people are capable of, making these determinations on their own. And the problem is, like, when you try to, censor a lot of this stuff out, you basically just encourage people to trust the instinct in them that assigns like the largest amount of malintent. And so, people will assign malintent to people trying to censor them, and then they won't want to, believe anything on the opposite side. They won't want to consider any ideas on the opposite side. And that's definitely happened to me too, and that's part of the reason why, I read, like, I just finished reading like Michelle Obama's book, and I'm reading, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi right now. And, I gotta say, I mean, it's rare to find an idea in one of those books that I agree with, but I'm at least considering it as, as legitimate opinion. And that's that's kind of, that's kind of what I would like people to do, be able to do with guys like Alex Jones. It's like, okay, well, you can, you can decipher, what's like a legit opinion and what's just, the crazy stuff, and what's something that's maybe worth researching, and then there's other things that he says that just aren't even worth considering, And we really do that in engineering, like, all the time, It's like somebody throws out this idea, and it's like, oh, well, like, I don't really think that approach is going to work. And, sometimes it's like, it's such an outlandish idea that it's like, no, like, it's like, we appreciate the input, but that's just like, we flat out all know, like, that particular solution, like, isn't going to yield any results, and so we're not going to pursue it, and then we make a prudential judgment. In a lot of ways, I think that's really, the same thing with virus-related policy or whatever, COVID policy. It's like, we're adults, we can determine what's right for us. We can go consult our doctor about, certain things, and, ask questions. And, oh, look at this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's really cool. You look across here and you see, I mean, I guess it's kind of blocking the island. Maybe I should have made it pass through on the backside. But still, I think that this is going to be a really interesting public transit network that goes through here. And so the ultimate vision for this area over here is, obviously we're going to have some cargo terminals and stuff like that. Going to have to get rail connections over here. But overall, this is kind of exactly what I wanted to accomplish in this short stream. And then we're going to do a lengthier stream where so obviously this stuff is going to get brought over here. We're going to start developing on this particular coastline right here, maybe make another beach park right here, because I really want to utilize like as many of these beaches as I can. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to accomplish in this stream is I want to get it connected up here. I'm actually going to pause it for this particular part, because I'm going to end up messing with those trolley lines. They're not going to like it if I just delete them away and keep the game on pause. So what we need to do is come out here, and you might say to yourself, hey, Alex, you've been talking about, making all this aesthetic, making this thing look aesthetic, and it's like, who's going to want a trolley line going across their beach? And it's like, hey, man, I kind of agree, but I actually think that this might be kind of an interesting touch to the area. Let's do that. We want to make this nice and gradually sloping down here, but it does need to get down for sure. And it looks like it's actually going to be somewhat of a challenge to get it to come down far enough, because I need to come down, basically need to come down 3, maybe to right here. Oh no, that actually doesn't look that bad at all, because then what I can do here is, boom, just kind of make this curve. Nope, not like that. When it comes straight, but only to here. And then, oh, that's nasty. Definitely not going to do that. Let's get rid of that. Take this back again. Come here. Straight. Straight to here. And then we're going to start this curve like this first. Ah, everything's interfering. I can't turn off the road guidelines though. Oh, why does that come down? Alright guys, geez. Having to fiddle with this and am I okay with that going up a little bit right there? Yeah, that's fine. The problem is that this radius is having to be too sharp to meet up correctly, so I might have to kind of joggle it a little bit and then do this. And am I cool with that? See, I feel like the problem is it comes down too far. I don't like how the slope kind of increases coming through here now. Geez, what a pain, huh? That's why you have to make sure that you're like kind of measuring your distances out adequately. What if we do this? Start from here. And we might, have to demolish some stuff. That's okay. This. Now we come straight. What if I just do it straight? Ah, yeah, see, I like the way that looks. I mean, it's not 100% perfect. In fact, I do wish that this transition right here was just a little bit less drastic. See, it looks like it actually dips down a little bit. That is not what I want. That is not what I want. I know this is letting the perfect be enemy of good enough, but okay, now I'm a little bit worried though that this, yeah, so we gotta get rid of that. It's fucking tedious, huh? I mean, not F word. Sorry, YouTube. I use the F word. I'm bad. I'm bad. You know it. That's Michael Jackson right there, babe. Yes. Alright, that is looking awesome right there. Gonna have to do some terraforming in this area to smooth this out, but we will do that in the next stream. It is now 9 p.m. where I'm at. Oh, and actually, there is one silly thing that needs to be done. Just one last thing that needs to be done, which is gotta put a loop back in here like this. So this way, unpause it, see if the trolley line should work itself out here just in a moment. Yeah, see, now they're gonna see the purple one figured it out, and now the green one's gonna figure it out. That's the nice thing about this game, is there's a little bit of logic in there. So obviously this loop is gonna get redone at some point, and then we're gonna have trolley lines that go here, but this area is really far away from being developed. So there was one thing that I wanted to put in this area, which I didn't last stream. So if we look at the subway route, you can see this purple line goes directly through this neighborhood, and I really wanted to put a subway station here, and I wanted to use one of these kind of fancy schmancy ones, but look at how many buildings I'm just going to have to demolish to put that in there, which is kind of unfortunate. So may have to just kind of deal with a regular small subway station, or maybe just not put one in at all, and people just kind of have to walk the city. Or there's a monorail station here, there's another subway station in this area, so maybe just walk or bike. Because the bike path, I guess I didn't really think about the bike path coming through here, did I? Unless I can upgrade some of these streets to accept the bike path for sure. Anyway, guys, so I realized last time as well, I didn't really give like some cinematic views of this area. I guess in the next video, maybe we'll do some cinematic stuff. I guess maybe the reason I didn't was because I was too lazy to put music behind it. I don't know. I should probably do a little cinematic thing. Catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys had fun laughing at that Alex Jones stuff. And remember, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Don't just believe everything that you say right off the bat. And, you're allowed to believe and think anything you want. That's what's part of protected speech and thought in the United States of America. No matter how much people want to tell you that, you must think a certain way, just ignore that. You can have your own ideas, and better yet, if you are an engineer and you're a conservative like me, absolutely, guys, me too. We need to grab our cojones and, not let some of this like authoritarian stuff take over our country. And that's part of the reason why I'm trying to build culture with you guys by doing the City Skylines thing. If you guys have something in common with me, even if it's not the politics, maybe we have City Skylines in common or something like that. If we do have something in common politically, just keep in mind that you're not alone, and stand up for what you believe in. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.